I think we'll go ahead and get rolling. It's 8:15. I think there's still a few more people rolling in, but how's everybody doing this morning? Beautiful Denver, Colorado. Not bad, that's good. It can be, sometimes after one of these nights, it can be a little rough in the morning, but hopefully everybody's feeling okay today. But is everybody fired up for day 2 of Commodity Classic? I am. You know, I'm Shane Brockhoff, so I manage the Western sales footprint for Meristem Crop Performance, but I have a feeling what we're going to talk about today is probably going to get a few people fired up in the industry, get a lot of chatter going, which is good. A lot of times the biggest innovations in agriculture do stoke a little bit of a fire. So what we do know is MaxStax, in my opinion, is the most exciting and game-changing innovation to hit American agriculture since the launch of biotech traits and seed. Really, this ability to deliver multiple biodefense mechanisms in one really simple solution that takes a ton of cost out of production for the American farmer is going to change how we think about delivering pesticides to the furrow and on the seed. So our goal this morning, you can see it on the screen, our goal over the next 30 minutes is to really teach all of you with full confidence to basically go naked while you're here in Denver, Colorado. So yeah, obviously we're not talking about go naked. Well, you can if you want, you know, go naked, but it's a free country. But we're really talking about going naked on soybeans and taking these costs out of production. So the MaxStax delivery system is fully loaded to be able to do this. And really what I want you to do is envision how this concept, this technology, could change your business as a farmer, or if you're a seed dealer, change your business as a seed dealer. You know, there's a lot of costs that go into the liquid soybean seed treatment market. Obviously, you got the physical cost of the seed treatment itself, right? What the farmer pays for. But you think about the labor and time, there's a ton of inefficiencies in that process. And MaxStax really able to take all that out. The other big expense in the liquid seed treatment market is the cost of the equipment to do the process, right? The bulk treater, the conveyors, all the equipment that goes along with that. So again, taking costs out. The third one is floor space, right? People forget, you know, I would be interested to know how many square feet of warehouse space is being taken up by bulky seed treatment systems in the market today. You know, there's an opportunity cost there. If we could take that out and put it into a really simple solution like MaxStax, it's pretty excited about it. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank Commodity Classic, obviously the Meristem team for getting us here. Thank you all for coming this morning. It's a beautiful venue. I'm a big Rocky Mountains guy, so anytime you get to wake up and see a snow-capped Rocky Mountain landscape, it's a great day in America. So I have my colleagues here with me. They'll introduce themselves here in a minute when they get ready to kind of talk about their section. But we all have a little bit to talk about here this morning. But like I said, I'm the VP of Sales for the Western United States. That's my family. I got a big family. I'm pretty proud of them. But 5 girls, 1 boy, they keep us busy for sure. So these are just general discussion guide. The topics we'll cover. So Dr. Bachmeyer is going to talk about superior coverage to the delivery system. We spend a lot of money on research. One of the questions we usually get or comments is, man, is there really any way this concept with seed fluency can cover all those seeds efficiently? And the answer is unequivocally yes. So John will talk about that. I'll spend time discussing the biodefense revolution. So these new EPA-registered biodefense tools and how all this stuff is coming together we coined the term biodefense revolution. I think it's kind of cool. Hopper throttle MaxStax soybeans, so I'll break down the pail, what's in it, how it works, and how this stuff can take costs out of production. And obviously, we're super confident, and we want you guys to be confident in this as well. So we're going to talk about our $40 per acre replant program on this system. And then Adam's going to talk about his real results. So we had a precursor pail to this concept called the Pre-5 Metal Axle Hopper Throttle Pail last year, and they've devoted a lot of their business to that, and he's going to give some real-life examples how that's evolved within his business and how his customers react to that. What I will tell you is we'll probably leave more questions than answers. We only have 30 minutes. I'm already getting windy. So come see us at booth number 3213 there on the trade show floor, and we can fill in all the gaps for you. So when you look at this agriculture biological space, this is a global picture, and there's a lot of different ag economic research firms out there doing this kind of prediction or forward outlook thinking, but right now, globally, the biologicals market in ag is sitting about $16 billion. which is big, right? But when you look out to the next decade, and pretty much all these firms are showing or saying the same thing, within the next decade, everybody expects this to triple. The majority of this growth is going to be driven by biodefense. Up until this point, it's been a lot of biofertility, biostimulation, nutrient unlocking power, which is cool, and that's going to continue to evolve. But the advent of EPA-registered biopesticides is really what's going to drive this trend. But the key is you have to be able to keep them alive. And you have to have an easy delivery system for the farmer to use it. If it takes more time, costs more money, and doesn't take costs out of production, and doesn't work any better, it'll never get adapted. That's where we feel like MaxStax is really going to change the game, and it already is in the U.S. belt. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to John Bachmeyer, Dr. Bachmeyer here, and he's going to talk about superior coverage.
Thank you, Shane. Good morning, everyone. So I'm John Bachmeyer. I'm Director of Ag Ingenuity Partners, which is the research division of Advanced Agrilytics. If you want to learn more about our company, you can stop by our booth at 1959 after you're done in this session. And Shane already set the stage really well. We wanted to talk about coverage as it relates to the biocapsule delivery system that Meristem's offering out in the marketplace. And so the premise of our research that we conducted last year was based off this picture. So, audience participation, if I were to ask you which of these soybeans packets have been treated, which one are you going to say? Yeah, the one with the color, right? Because we know when we treat our soybeans with a seed treatment, we have a colorant, we know that they're treated. The real question that we have, and Shane already alluded to it, is when you utilize a biocapsule delivery system to bring new actives, formulations onto the seed treatment, and you look at the soybeans there on the right and you don't see anything, the question is there actually anything on the seed? And that's really what we were commissioned to do this last year, is to really test out how well does this delivery system provide active ingredients onto the seed. And so we had three main objectives as we looked at this. We were looking at what Shane alluded to as the pre-fight metalaxyl for soybeans. And so the first objective that we wanted to ensure was that bacillus was detected on the seed throughout the planting process. That's what's part of the pre-fight package. The next component was obviously metalaxyl. We wanted to determine, did we detect metalaxyl on the seed throughout the planting process? And then the last one was, what does that early season performance look like compared to your traditional grower standard F&I seed treatment? So those were the three objectives that we had as we embarked on this research project. So just a quick overview of how we executed it, and I love that at 8:20 in the morning we're talking about research. It's always a good day for me, so I hope you guys are as happy as I am. We had a split planter design where half the planter had the grower standard traditional seed treatment that was utilized, and then the other half of the planter utilized the same seed, but it was untreated. And then as it was loaded into the planter, we just administered through the hopper throttle box the pre-fight and metalaxyl. And so that was just feathered in as the seed was loaded. And we then went and we planted out the field with the split planter design of the biocapsule versus the grower standard F&I seed treatment. Now again, what I said was really key for us was to determine, are we picking up the components on the seed throughout planting, since we're not able to visually see them with our eyes. And so to do that, we set up 3 collection points throughout the planting process. At 25, 50, and 75% of the planting process, we would stop the planter, raise it up, and then we would collect seed from the seed tubes from the biocapsule delivery treatment, and then send that off to the lab so that they could determine whether or not we had the presence of the bacillus and the metalaxyl on the seed. So that's what we did at each of the locations throughout planting. And then the last component of that was to go out there and physically look at and evaluate the stand of the 2 treatments that we're evaluating. What we do as a company is we really want to focus on the environment. And so all I'm showing you there on the plant collections and observations is when we go out to a field, we want to identify what environment we're actually sampling in. And we think about it really simplistically as the top of the knob where it's going to get dry first, we call that the water limited acre, and then the bottom ground where water's running to, we'll call that the saturated acre. And when you think about seed treatments, you need And their protection against disease, you have to have the environment and you have to have the pathogen. And so more likely, you're gonna see that in the water or in the saturated environment. And so that's why we wanted to ensure that when we also took collections in the season, we were targeting environments that were gonna put this system under stress. We were able to execute this protocol at 10 locations this past year, ranging from Ohio all the way out to Iowa. We had planting dates in April to June. So we had a range of environments, planting dates in which we were able to evaluate this system. And so now we'll get into the results. So the first result I'll show you is our first objective. We wanted to determine whether or not the bacillus was on the seed throughout planting. And so this chart represents the 3 collection points, 25, 50, and 75%. This is an average across all of those fields for each of those collection points, and this is the data coming back from the lab on the colony-forming units of bacillus that was able to be detected. That black line is the industry standard of 100,000 CFUs, and you can see that at each of the planting time points throughout the planting process, this delivery system was able to exceed that threshold. And now you can see the fourth bar, that black one, there's the null, right? What does that represent? Well, bacillus is naturally occurring. And so we wanted to also get a control of, if you just have your typical seed, we sent that in for a sample as well, and you can see you are gonna have some bacillus, but if you're not actively putting it on the seed, you're gonna have a significant disadvantage to what can be delivered through this biocapsule delivery system. So we were able to check the first objective, that we were able to deliver a living organism throughout the planting process. Again, the next objective was to determine whether or not we had the presence of metalaxyl on the seed. So again, the lab results showed that in all 10 fields and at all 3 collection points of the seed, we were able to detect metalaxyl. So again, check on that. So if you think back to that image I started with the soybeans on the right that didn't have any colorant on them, those were part of the samples that we took, and we had the presence of these 2 active ingredients on the seed throughout the planting process. And then the last component is just to actually be able to evaluate what's happening in the field. So that's great that we were able to prove that it's there. How is it stacking up against the traditional grower standard seed treatment? And what we did is we had stand counts at emergence, and that's what I'm showing you here. And that bar chart is looking at the performance of the biocapsule delivery system compared back to the grower standard seed treatment as it pertains to stand count. So 100% means that they are equal in performance. And overall, we see that we had 100% of the grower standard with the biocapsule delivery system as it relates to emergent stand counts. And then when we break it down by environment, which I was telling you is important, we really don't see any difference in performance in that saturated acre where we think we would stress the seed treatment more than in the water limited acre. So as far as what we wanted to do with this research was just to be able to prove out that this method of delivering product to the seed, it was there, we could quantify it, and it was there throughout the planting process, and we were able to see the performance in season on par with that of a traditional seed treatment. And so that was the result that we were able to have from this last year. And I'm going to turn it back over to Shane.
Well, thanks, John. Yeah, we took this actually to yield, and for the most part, across the board, it was just as good, if not better, across the board. But one of the key components, and we took one of the slides out to this coverage, is what we call ion lock zinc. It's really the polymer and the glue that it has an opposite charge of the bacteria, the biology, as well as the seed. So it's kind of the glue that sticks everything together and really fluidizes the whole system. But which really leads me into the biodefense revolution. So we'll call this the biodefense revolution, trifecta, whatever you want to call it. But there's really 3 key components coming together to make this all work. And it all starts with the biocapsule, right? So we have to be able to keep biology alive. I already alluded to this. The fact that we can detach these biocapsules from the lid and stack multiple EPA-registered biodefense mechanisms without having to re-register every single premix. These are detachable, so it's basically labeled as a co-pack, so we can basically build whatever we want really efficiently and put all the components together very quickly, which gives us 2, 3, 4 year cycle time advantage versus any other competitor that's doing a pre-mix in the system. So So the biocapsule, keep it in a sealed biocap until right ready to use it, is huge. It's obviously the stepping stone for this whole process. You know, ion lock zinc, already talked about that. The ability, we knew that we'd have to increase the rate of zinc to have multiple biodefense mechanisms. This many compounds in one pail, we knew we'd have to increase the zinc load a little bit versus our base soybean ether pail. And so we upped it about 33, 34%. So this actually has a higher load of zinc, that polymer, that glue that sticks everything together. And then obviously the EPA approval. There's a lot of brand new EPA-approved biodefense mechanisms coming onto the market, and we're basically licensing that technology at Meristem. You gotta remember, at Meristem, we're not a biologicals company in the sense that we spent $1 billion developing one of these microbes. We truly do not care. All we're married to in the market is what's winning. So if there's something new that comes onto the market in 12 months from now that's winning and beating what we currently have, we'll just be able to plug and play and move really fast with this rapidly evolving market, which is, again, a huge power play. But this biodefense revolution is all coming together, and it's been a lot of fun. So I want to pull it back to agronomics a little bit. Who can answer this question? According to land-grant universities, the Crop Protection Network, what is the #1 yield-robbing disease on soybeans in the United States? We're really North America. Any guesses? White mold? That's a great guess. That's probably one I would have guessed. When I started doing this research and built these slides, it actually kind of shocked me. I didn't realize land-grant universities classify nematodes as disease. They're actually not diseases in a way. They're not insects either. They're in the phylum Nematoda, but they dominate this spectrum. Nematodes are a huge destroyer of yield for all of you in the soybean belt here, and root knot nematodes aren't far behind. They're right up there. Nematodes are a huge pest, and we don't have great control mechanisms for them. We have some seed treatments that last a little bit. We have some genetic lines, you know, the PI 88788 or Peking lines that help. But really, with all our modern seed treatments, genetics, and everything else, we're still losing about $1 billion to these pests every year. So are there biological concepts that you can leverage to actually have better control and get back some of this money, some of these bushels you're losing? If you look at the lower stalk diseases, seedling diseases, sudden death syndrome, that's about a $500 million group of pests. Again, are there biologicals, bacteria, fungi, things that we can leverage to basically create biofilms that help us from stop losing so many bushels of these problematic diseases? So that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to protect your crop from yield robbers. And we know that these big four, if you add them up, is about $1.5 billion being stolen right now. So what are the new biodefense mechanisms? Fairly recently EPA registered and licensed to go through the dry flowable MaxStax concept. So the first 5, pre-5 metalaxyl, Guard-C, Bornex, and Guard-M, they're all in this pail. The one that is corn focused or Guard-X is on the bottom right. So that's corn root suppression. We don't have time to talk about corn much today, but there is a MaxStax concept, a biodefense concept, in corn as well. And Guard-X is definitely looking to take some costs out of like the planter insecticide markets for corn root management. So excited about that as well. But you know, this is what it looks like. You can see it up here. I'm sure you've seen it around the show. This really is the King Kong of planter box treatments. There's nothing else on the market like it, and nor will there be. This is a patented technology, the biocapsule. We have 19 years left on a utility patent with the patent office. So it is really exciting, and everything that we've been talking about brings it all into one very simple solution and takes a ton of costs out of the market. So when you look at this, if you break it down and what's all in here, so I mentioned it's kind of got a starter kit, right? So the base ingredients of this is it starts with the fluency agent, right? So a graphite blend, we had a high load of zinc it's the polymer, the glue that sticks everything together, but it's also a micronutrient, right? A very common micronutrient deficiency in soybeans. Iron, manganese, a little bit of sulfur. So it's a very simple starter kit. Most people are not putting starter on their soybeans. They're kind of the neglected stepchild, right, of crops. So we can get a little very simple starter on that, plus our ether enzyme technology really kickstarts all the biology, feeds it, makes it go fast. So that's really the base of the pail. And then if you go to the top, you know, we have basically anything you could get through a liquid seed treater today. So triple mode of action fungicide, including sudden death syndrome control, is built into this pail. So we have 3 different modes of action for fungicide. We have nematode control, that's our Guard C technology. Again, if you want to learn more about the specific modes of action and how they work, come to our booth today and we can fill in the gaps. And then Guard M is a broad spectrum bioinsecticide. Really, seed corn maggots, the #1, if not the only pest below ground that we worry about with soybeans. So if we have Guard M technology in there, we're protecting ourselves there. The cool thing about these living microbes, they're different than liquid soybean seed treatment. Soybean seed treatment usually lasts 2 to 3 weeks if you're lucky, depending on the weather. These things live and grow with the roots all season long. They form a protective barrier. It's a different way of thinking about seed treatment, how to protect these roots, how to protect these plants throughout the growing season. So when you add this all up, really what this is a mashing of their base soybean ether offense pail with all these brand new biodefense mechanisms. That's what the MaxStax name symbolizes, is the offense and defense coming together in one simple solution. And if you look at all these components, if you were going to go out in the market and buy all these individual components, on the left is really your seed treatment components, right? Triple mode of action fungicide, nematode control, your concepts for SDS control, inoculant, insecticide, everything built into that, somewhere between $25 and $35 an acre is where the market's at for a fully loaded, full rate seed treatment out there. We can take all those costs out and put it into the system. The offensive components, if you wanted a starter kit, an Infro PGR, some nitrogen fixers, nutrient mobilizers, went out and bought all those individual components, it'd be around $50, $55 an acre. So we're not selling it for this total value. We know that's what's in there for just the components if you went and tried to build this yourself. But we know that's the total value in the market. We're not selling it for near that. The other reason why we think this is going to work better, and we know it's going to work better than liquid seed treatment today, is if you think about liquid seed treatment, the majority of what you're putting on that seed is a really sticky polymer and colorant, which is great. It makes the active ingredients stick to the seed coat. When you think about how a soybean plant grows, it anchors the root in, and then what becomes the cotyledons above the ground? The seed, right? So if you have all your active ingredients stuck to a really sticky polymer, and it ends up above the ground, you get a high dose active ingredient load above the ground, not at the roots where all these diseases and pests are attacking it, you can actually lose a lot of efficacy. And that's sometimes when you see this flashing. So be super confident in the coverage like John just mentioned here, and we're confident these active ingredients are going to remain at the roots. So we're going to put our money where our mouth is, right? We're pretty confident. We're very confident in this process and how it's going to work. We're really the only non-genetic seed company to offer replant protection ever. Unless someone knows of an instance, especially at a $40 replant program, nobody else in the industry has done that. So obviously we want to take credit for that. There's a lot of value in that. It is a dealer program, but it is a powerful step to say, hey, we believe in this, we know it works, we've seen it out in the field, and it's going to be good. So really, what I would say is that innovation that takes time and takes time out of the market and adds efficiency, takes costs out of production, and then ends up working better at the end user, those innovations, whatever industry you're looking at, always take over the market. It's just the way things evolve. If you go back and if you ask the Blockbuster executive, Blockbuster Video, right, 30 years ago, if they thought internet-based streaming and Netflix and some of these ways to view movies that didn't exist 30 years ago, how would they react to that concept? Saying, there's no way. There's no way the broadband, the bandwidth would be able to support everybody just buying it, movies online. Blockbuster doesn't even exist anymore. If you pull it back to agriculture, think about Lorsban 15G and the innovation that erupted that market. When the traits for corn rootworm came onto the market, a lot of the major ag retailers were pushing against innovation. And they said, there's no way farmers are going to believe that a trait, a protein expressed by the roots is going to take that Lorsban 15G out of their Infro insecticide plan. Well, guess what? You can't even buy Lorsban anymore. Innovation that takes time out of the market, saves money, and works better always takes over the market. And actually, the guy that started Meristem knows that better than anybody. He was the go-to marketing manager for Lorsban 15G when the traits came out. And he got ran over by the innovation train. He woke up one day, kind of had a new lease on life and said, hey, I'm getting tired of getting run over by the innovation train. I would rather be the conductor in the cockpit. And so he started Meristem, and we've been on the front edge of innovation ever since then. And we're very confident this is going to take over the market. Innovation will win. I would deploy all of you to get on that innovation trade here. So don't take my word for it or Meristem's word for it. I'm going to kick it over to Adam here, and he's going to talk a little about some of his firsthand experience with the precursor pail pre-fight metal axle.
Let's see how this works. Well, thanks Shane. And so I'm a farmer in Central Ohio, raise cattle, corn, soybeans, wheat, and hay. I'm also the general manager of Axis Seed Company, Axis, Ohio. We've been working with Meristem for several years now, specifically with their hopper throttle products, as well as many other products. And we've had just a great working relationship with their company. And we've really found products that work and bring ROI to our customers. I say all that to also say we're the biggest skeptics I think maybe they had in their whole business. We had a lot of questions when this first came out. As Dr. Bachmeyer talked about, how in the world is this bucket gonna really coat my seed? How are we gonna really see an ROI? Does it work? So today, my goal here is just to talk a little bit about answering some of those questions and how we've answered them over the past few years. Part of what made this really seamless and easy for us was we've been working with their first launches of the pre-fight metal axle pail and the ether pail over the past few years. And we really believed in the biofertility components, the PGR components, and the micronutrients. We saw the yield response. Our growers saw it. Our growers wanted to put it on their fields. So then we ran into the thing of, okay, so now we're treating your seed and we're trying to use a new product at the planter. Became pretty big cost deal there. We had to balance what all was going to be in our seed treatment and not double up and fix things with the pail. So when this new pail came out, that's kind of what I call an all-in-one solution, we really sat down to say, how's this going to help our business? How's this going to help me as a farmer? And the first and most, the thing we saw first, I guess, as a business, as a seed business, was we spent less time treating. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, so we're going naked, so we're not spending as much time treating. When you're not spending as much time treating, your guys have more time to focus on growers, to focus on servicing their customers the way they need to. So our business has just ran more smoothly through the springtime than it ever has before. Those guys are out. We can spend more time double checking loads and making sure the customer gets what they asked for, and we're not running around with our tail between our legs trying to treat seed. On top of that, we're saving cost on maintenance on treaters, manpower running our treaters, potentially buying new treaters every few years. The second thing that we really learned was from a grower perspective, this is a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. So when a grower goes to his field, he has one product that he has to worry about for his whole planter pass. So instead of mixing 4, 5, 6 different things into an infra system, sometimes more, plus still using talc and graphite, it's really simplified that process for them. They get a box of seed, they get a pail of hopper throttle, they go to the field, and that's all they need. It saved them some time and money and people. They're not running a tender trailer all over the place. They have less maintenance on their planter, and maybe some day down the road they go to buy a new planter and they don't have to spend the extra money on a infra system on their planter. The third thing that we really learned is that the replant policy is huge for both the seed dealer and the grower. It just provides peace of mind for all of us that we know where our costs are set there. And the last thing that I'd like to bring up is that it's easy to use. I know it like I said earlier, Dr. Bachmeier's talk, we saw his data, and as I told you earlier, we were the biggest skeptics in the world, so we still didn't quite think, is this real? So we spent a lot of time in our warehouse, we spent a lot of time in our growers' fields, testing different application methods, trying to figure out what works the best. And what we really found out was that it's pretty darn easy. There's really, most growers, the way they're using it now, they can just keep doing the same thing they were doing. There's not a lot of change there. And we also saw that coverage was just better than maybe in the beginning we thought it was going to be. So that's all I have. I appreciate the time and I'll be at the booth. Look forward to talking to you guys the rest of the week.
Thanks, Adam.
I didn't even.
No, you're good. I'll just flip through that slide. You're good. All right, I'm going to wrap it up with a couple comments, and then we'll let you guys get on your way or ask any questions. So really, when you think about this, this is kind of my personal opinion, but this is where I see it going. I think within the next decade, more pesticides are going to be delivered to the furrow through meristem's biocapsule than any other mechanism on the market. I feel like this innovation train is going to get moving very fast and very powerful. There's going to be a lot of new technology coming, but you have to be able to keep it alive. It has to be easy for the farmer, and it has to be a simple delivery system. So we're excited about that. This is the biodefense revolution. We're going to take some costs out. Obviously, we want to protect yield, and we look forward to changing American agriculture with all of you together. So, and it doesn't just stop at soybeans. This is my quick plug on corn. So this MaxStax corn concept, if you've invested in or thinking about investing in like a 2x2 or in-furrow fungicide concept, I would think hard about not doing that. In-furrow insecticide or on-planter insecticide, nematodes are actually the #1 yield-robbing disease in the United States as well. So nematode protection plus the starter kit, all built into a simple pail. So with that, I know we're leaving more questions than answers, but be sure to come see us at booth number 3213, and we really appreciate your attention this morning. Leah has more of the sign-in sheets and also Stout Street Social tonight. So if you want to sign up to win free case of MaxStax soybeans, make sure you connect with Leah or one of the other Meristem employees in the back. So thank you very much.